Well, the focus of these meetings really is trade. Now, Germany is the second largest international investor in South Africa after China, and it's a huge part of the South African economy. 2% of the South African GDP is made up by the German car company BMW. So these meetings are really important. It's a long-standing trade tie. They're going to be discussing those issues. But both leaders, both President Zuma and German Chancellor Angela Merkel, are facing domestic issues. The student tuition fee protests in South Africa have obviously dominated a lot of President Zuma's time, and the refugee crisis here in the European Union has been a real difficult period for the German Chancellor Angela Merkel.
Tell us about the trade relations between the two countries, and what more can South Africa gain from this particular meeting?
So the trade relations have been long-standing, and as I mentioned, Germany is the second largest investor in South Africa, and it's an incredibly important relationship between the two. Now, I spoke to South Africa's Minister for Trade and Industry yesterday, Rob Davies, and he told me that what he wanted to do from these meetings was not only make the trade relations about opening it up for big companies, the big car companies, the bigger, kind of multinationals or the operations that Germany is already going for, but rather to make the trade relations easier for smaller sized business, the SMEs, the smaller medium-sized businesses. Now, at the moment, there's been a slight imbalance where South Africa is importing more from Germany than it's exporting, so it's been going the other way. And his vision is to try and get some of those small and medium businesses better access into the German economy, so that they can boost that imbalance, so that the imports and exports will come to some kind of equilibrium.
And what can Germany gain out of more trade with South Africa?
Well, Germany is a fantastic country at signing trade relations with countries around the world. They will be looking for a deeper set of agreements as far as the auto industry goes. They are very fond of their trade manufacturing, their car manufacturing plants in South Africa, which are one of the only places on the African continent that can provide the labour skills to really make these high-end cars, which saves them a lot of time and energy in kind of exporting them out of Europe and out of Germany. So they'll be looking to deepen those ties and just to secure the friendship between the two countries that has been long-standing for a long time now.
Long-standing trade relations with Germany, but there are some concerns from Germans with regards to South Africa. What are some of those concerns that they've listed?
So there have been some criticisms from German officials about how the ANC in South Africa deals with corruption, and whether the government has been tackling corruption at a high enough level. Now, clearly, the ministers I've spoken to in the delegation so far have said that all efforts are put into tackling corruption in South Africa, and that sometimes it's obviously not possible, but things must happen. But they also, the South African government has to deal with lots of different factors on the African continent themselves. South Africa is a political leader, clearly, in Africa. And so there's many issues at play here, and also with the trade relations mixed in, it can become a complicated picture. In general, the feeling is very positive, I would hasten to add.
Now, who else is with the President Zuma there, the prominent trade delegates accompanying him?
So there are trade delegates from across South Africa, and obviously they're meeting with their German counterparts. The kind of big names on this trip are the South African International Relations Minister, Martin Mashibane, Rob Davies, the Minister for Trade and Industry, as I said, and there's some senior figures from Mercedes-Benz here in Germany and BMW as well. So there's some real hard hitters. This is certainly a high-end affair for these two countries. They're letting one another know that their trade relations are secure and that they want to continue them into the future for sure.
And what does the program look like for the delegates there?
So the first thing that's going to happen, we will all be meeting in an hour or so to meet with the delegations, which will then head to the Bundeskanzleramt in Berlin, which is where Angela Merkel has her offices. She will receive him. They will have a number and series of bilateral meetings between different members of the delegation, but clearly the kind of top billing is the meeting between President Zuma and the Chancellor Angela Merkel. And then President Zuma will head from there to the German presidency to meet the President, Jacob Zuma. He is not the kind of leader of Germany, obviously, with Angela Merkel holding the political power, but it's a courtesy call and it's also incredibly significant. And then there are a number of other different meetings across the board for the South African president, and we'll be speaking to him, in fact, later on this evening in an exclusive interview for the SABC.
Jack, thank you so much for that report. That was our correspondent, Jack Parrock, coming to us live via Skype from Berlin in Germany.